Hello, it's Jack, and welcome back to another episode of Car Mechanic Simulator 2018. Now, if you watched the last episode where I had that Crown Vic, which I was going to sell, I didn't make much profit on that, as you guys will probably remember. Well, it is still around, it's in the parking, I haven't got rid of it just yet. But anyway, this episode I'd like to go through the upgraded garage. I've now got the garage upgraded to, well, I think it's pretty much as far as you can go. So let me introduce you to a couple of things that are brand new. One is the size, which is fantastic. We have three car lifters now, A, B and C, which means we've got plenty of room for project cars. Of course, we have the engine crane, which is also wonderful. The welder, which means we can now fix body parts and fix the chassis, or rather the frame. We have a battery charger. We have the interior detailing toolkit. Dyno, I'm not sure if we've been to this before, but we have the dyno. And probably most importantly, for the look and feel of the cars, we have the brand new shiny spray booth, which is fantastic because now we can make the cars look great. Even though it doesn't add value to the vehicles, it makes them look a lot better. What else is new? Well, there's also this big area here, which I'm going to get to shortly, but first of all, let me give you a quick rundown of the spray booth. It's very straightforward. You can either have spray your cars, or you can spray body parts. And basically you just move the car into said booth. So you'll just do a right click on the car and you'll move it and you'll say okay into the spray booth. Paint shop as it's called here. And there it is. I'm not actually going to paint this car yet. This is a Lotus Esprit Series 1. Or the S1. It's a project car. I've got two of them in the garage. That's going to be for a video which I'm going to do later on today. I will hopefully get it uploaded at this, today as well. Anyway, let me just give you a quick rundown. So you go over here, and here would be paint the part. Well, we haven't got a part obviously to paint because we've got the car in the shop. And here you have the colour mixer. It's a little bit of a challenge to get these mixes just right for different colors, but what you can also do is just set the factory color. So the current you can set to current, and that will paint it everything in this brownie color, or you can set it to the yellow, which is what it came out of the factory in. What you can do, just as a small tip, if you want to do, like say Lotus Elise factory yellow like this is on a different car, if you've got a Elise like this, or at least when you do have one, maybe you sell it on, you can take note of the hue, saturation and brightness. You can take note of these numbers, and then if you want to match a car part or whatever to this specific yellow, you can actually dial in those numbers and you'll get the exact same color. If that makes any sense. Well, let me give you a quick example in a second, but first of all let me just go through these real quick. So you mess around with the paint types, okay, and this will basically change the color of the vehicle. It's not that intuitive. I'm not that understanding the hue, saturation and brightness, so I just kind of play around with these colors and it just kind of works out. Or generally if I'm doing a restoration, I just set it to the factory. Then we have paint type. We have metallic, we have matte, we have pearl, and we have chameleon and chrome. Again, pretty straightforward. Liveries. This is kind of like either if there's a racing livery or something specific on there you want to put on the car. Some of the modded cars have special liveries, as you saw with the NYPD Crown Vic police car. We could actually put the NYPD decals and slogans and everything on that. To paint the car, it's $1,000. No matter what you do with it, it's $1,000. As I said before, there's no intrinsic value at all in painting the car. It just makes it look nice. If you want to do a part, it's $100 per part. You can also change the camera, so you can get a different view of the car before you spray it. But as I said before, we ain't going to spray this one right now because it is a project car, and I'm not 100% sure what we're going to do with this. I think that was on car lifter B. But what I will show you, I'll give you a quick example of how to colour match parts. This is a great example. This is my modded sleek and nasty Nissan 100SX Type X. It's a bit of a beast. It's running at 284 horsepower, so it's pretty quick, I must admit. nice looking car. The only thing I don't like about it is it's got one of these silly engine covers. You know, you just basically you have to remove this to get to the real engine, so it's like a cosmetic feature. I think I've been through this before. I'm not a big fan of it. It makes it look fantastic, but there's no fixing to be done. To be fair, I mean, yeah, it looks like a proper Nissan engine, but hey ho. Anyway, what I was going to say was, if you wanted to oh, let me just rewind slightly. Let's say we've got this car, okay? And let's say it was missing the hood, and so we had to buy a new hood, okay? And let's say the car was already in pretty good condition in terms of its paint job and everything. I know this one has already been done, and as you can see, it's 100% all the way through. But let's just, you know, for argument's sake, let's just say, you know, that the hood was missing. So when we fixed it all up and everything, we had to get a new hood. Now we wanted to colour match that hood. So what we could do is we can just move it into the into the paint shop, and we can literally just spray paint the whole thing. Yeah, we can just go here, we can say let's just paint the whole thing. This is the actual factory colour and this is the current colour. But let me show you something. If we were to set the factory, obviously everything up here changes, and then we're going to repaint the whole car. It's $1,000, but it's already in pretty good condition. I know it's showing now that this is painted, but it's showing what the overall finish will look like. This is still a black hood, remember. But if you look at those numbers up there, we have numbers 215, 29 and 53. If you take a note of those, you can keep them in a spreadsheet or whatever. Just take a note of those numbers and I'll just show you. It's pretty straightforward, but I've seen a couple of people struggling on YouTube with this. Maybe it's common knowledge now, I don't know, but I saw a couple of people like, how the hell do you colour match the part? Let's move it back over here. And then what we're going to do real quick is we're just going to take off this hood. And now we've got no car taken into here. When we go in, it'll allow us to basically paint any parts that we have available. See, I've got a few that I can paint here. But the one I'm after is this Nissan 180SX. And it's saying, look, the current colour is black. And when we take it, we say, yes, we'd like to paint that one. You see, it is indeed black. And we change the camera. It's not that, because the lights are quite bright in here, but it is black, okay? So if we wanted to get the same colour as the car sitting outside, basically, if you remember the numbers, it was 215, so we just dial this in. You can use the cursor keys to get it exact. So put in 215 up here for the hue. Then we go down to, was 29 roundabout, so let's get as near as we can. Okay, so that was 29, and then I believe the next one was 53. So we would set that to 53. Okay. $100, look, 100 bucks here. If we now say paint the part, and we just double check those numbers, yes, they're good, because you know Jack can, if Jack can screw up, he will. Okay, so now the part's been sprayed. We nip outside. Of course, the door's now been shut because we've been spraying. Let's just whack that part on. This is the one. Look at that, perfect colour match. It's that straightforward. It's that simple. Okay, let me just run over a couple of other things that are new. Obviously, the welder. I think I did this in the... I'm not sure if I did it in the previous video, but basically you move the welder to whichever lifter you're working on. Let's say we want lifter A, and then you'd run over to lifter A, you'd click on the welding tool, and then you would click, yes, I'd like to use the equipment, $1,000, and it will fix all of the chassis and everything else. I don't want to do it right now, as I said, this is the other project car. As you can see, it would fix all of this stuff here, because these are not body panels, this is the actual chassis, but then it would all be fixed up and nice and shiny. I mean, this particular car, for example, the frame condition is 13%, so well worthy of spending, you know, $1,000 on that, on repairing it. I think this one's probably even worse. Yeah, 5%. So you would actually, you know, you would probably run the welder on there. With the interior detailing kit, it's exactly the same story. You just basically shove it over to the lift or the car that you want to work on. And here you look at the interior condition is 22. If you were to run this and say I'd like to run that $100, it will then put the interior condition back up to, you know, back up to 100%. Bear in mind, it doesn't clean. It's not fixing anything or replacing all, you know, the seats and steering wheel. They would remain at the same as what they were before you run the interior detailing kit. So there's some really interesting ones. Battery charger works pretty much the same as the other tools in the shop. You basically just come over here, and I've actually got a battery on here. But if you didn't, you would add a battery. This one's at 100% already. But yes, if you want to recharge the battery, yes. It seems to be instantaneous. I haven't had a battery yet that I can't charge, and yeah, you know, it saves you, you know, what is it, $150 or whatever for a battery, so it's worth doing. You know, it's saving you some cash and it's free, which is also good. I'm not going to talk too much about the dyno. But basically, you put your car in here and you get how much horsepower the car is delivering, and if you modified the engine slightly or put a different engine in than what we came out of the factory with, then it will show you the increase in the horsepower, and then the car will then take on that horsepower when you look at the stats. So for example, if you look at this the Nissan here, this was about 40% increase because I've got some modified parts in there, so it's now sitting at 284. I think before it was like 200 and I don't remember, but anyway, it takes on the new values that the dyno gives it, if you like, so you can actually say, okay, what is the how much were my improvements, and then it'll take over into the engine details once you've run the dyno on it, which is useful, especially if you're going on the racetrack or the drag track. What else is new? Repair bench is still here. But now I'm able to repair things pretty much 100%, because I've obviously had a lot of the points now. I've been working extremely hard on getting my points up, and now my level 6 repair is I can repair body parts, which is great, but also odds of successful repair is raised to 95%. Previously it was 85%, and that extra 10%, boy does it make a difference. But again, I'm going to save that for another video when all we do is repair parts to make profit. It's quite interesting, and I think it's a lot of fun. Okay, the next big addition, or I mean, I've had this before. I'm not sure if I went through this with you guys. Might have been on a different platform, but I will go through the engine stand now that also we have the engine hoist sitting over there, which we can take cars out of engines now. But again, I'm going to do that when I go through these esprits, because these engines need to come out and be, spruced up. But this big area here is basically the warehouse, and this is quite important because it really helps on your inventory management. Let me give you a quick rundown of what happens in the warehouse. So over here, this is all the items you currently have in your normal inventory. Okay, so when you come out of the warehouse and you click I for inventory, this will show, it's the same picture. Okay, so it'll show you everything on the left hand side when you go into the warehouse of what you have currently, if you like, in your hand, and on the right hand side is what's available in the warehouse. So things in the warehouse will not show in your current inventory. Okay, does that make sense? Hopefully. You have a number of warehouses. I think you have 8, okay, that you can pick from. I've got just a few that I'm using, so I'm not using 6, 7 and 8, and you can rename them. So if you wanted to call this a specific warehouse to hold different things, then you just click on this and you would give it a different name. There you go, change the warehouse name. Okay, so let me just give you a quick idea of how I'm using it. So look at maps and quality parts. Okay, so what I load into here is every time I get one of those cases and I have some quality parts, I put them into here, because generally I don't use them unless it's like maybe a big ticket item like the engine block or maybe the engine head, but generally I put those into a different warehouse. But let me show you that. So I keep them all here so that if I think, oh yeah, let me put a modified part or a quality part, sorry, or maybe there's a performance part which I also keep in here. I mean, I have lots in here. I mean, I could, there's a good few thousand. But what I also keep in here are the maps. So these are the barn locations, just so it doesn't clutter up my, my on-hand inventory. So as you can see, a lot of good stuff in here. If you want to use anything, basically you would right click and then it would add it to your current inventory, and vice versa. So if I come through here, I think I've got a couple of quality parts in my normal inventory that I've just collected out of another case. If I want to just say, okay, these I don't want here, you see, and that is a tyre, so that comes under a different warehouse. But if I want to get rid of this, I'll just right click. If you do a left click, it'll say, are you going to sell it? No, you're not. So again, another right click. And as you'll see when I zip back, I don't think I've got any more quality parts, to be fair. Let me just have a quick look. I don't think so. You see, it's been added in here. If I want to add it back, I do a right click from here, and now you'll see in here it's been added back. So it's just right click on either pane. Okay, like I said, I do also keep the barn locations in here. If I have any further barn locations in here, which I don't think I do, I think I moved them all over. It's just, again, to declutter my on-hand inventory so I don't have to keep scrolling down through all the barn finds. So then let's look at body parts. So this is also full of great parts. This is stuff I've either got from old other cars or from scrap where I found in the scrapyard, or even in the barns where I've managed to repair them on 100%. Just one point I forgot to mention: I only keep 100% items generally in here, unless it's a specific item that I'm saving for a special car. I think I might have 1 or 2 parts in here, but generally this is all of my body parts. It sounds like a morgue, doesn't it? But anyway, so all my body parts are in here. Now let's say I was restoring. Let's just, I don't know, pick one. Let's say I was restoring. Oh, let me pick a decent one. A Land Rover, okay? A Defender 90. I could type in here, Defender. And it will bring up in both panes, my current inventory and what's in my warehouse, everything I have for the Defender. So that I can add these into here. Like, I can say, oh, I need that, I need that, I need that. And then I can go and fix the car up. So it's a really nice way. I know it's a little bit more laborious that you have to go into the warehouse to check see if you've got the part, but I mean, how often, if you're going to get a Defender in, if you're only working on Defenders, they're probably in your current inventory, but you don't get that many Defenders in, so it's worthwhile. You could of course do it by specific car model, but you don't have enough warehouses really to do that. So I just kind of chuck all of my body parts into into one big bag, if you like. And let me just go back up here, because it should reset the body parts again, because I've got a couple of body parts that I need to add in. So just give me a sec. Again, I mean, this is all really straightforward, but now I'm going to transfer body parts over. See, now I can filter. I couldn't really filter on quality parts before because you don't have a filter for that, but if I filter now on body, it's only filtering my left hand pane, so what I've got in current inventory. And as you can see, all of these are, there's only this one that is worthwhile putting in. In saying that, however, because I'm working on the Esprits, I don't want to put these into the warehouse just yet, because I need to figure out if I'm going to put the old parts back on or buy new parts. So that I'm not going to put those in right now. Okay, I hope you're getting the gist of this. I'm just showing you basically how I do it. I mean, you can put whatever you want into your warehouse and you can manage it, whichever you see is the best way to do it. Again, here we have the rims. These are things I've collected from the junkyards and also barn finds, and some you get, a couple you don't actually get. These have got quality parts in as well. So even though I've got a quality part warehouse up here, I also put my rims that are quality parts in here, because obviously they are rims, so why not? So there'll be a couple of quality rims in here. For example, this, I just sent that one back, didn't I? Let me just bring that back, and let me just check see if I've got any more rims. I think I've got maybe 1 or 2 wheels and rims. I don't actually put tyres in here. Wheel would be a fully made up wheel, which I don't think I have any fully made up wheels. I don't think I've got any more. No, I've not. But the reason why I'm keeping these in here, I may find a car that needs one of these. For example, you can do the same search. If I've got a Bentley, for example, I can type in BEN, and then obviously it doesn't bring anything up, which is a great one to show. How do I reset that now? Just give me a second. And then go back to wheels and rims. If you just look at the price of some of these, okay, $100, right? Not worth a lot of money. $120, not worth that much money. But you'd be surprised, some of these, 110, not much. 180, not much. Oh, I do have tyres in here. I do beg your pardon. I didn't think 1170. I mean, that's some serious cash there. I mean, that, so, if you need some extra cash, you could just sell off some of your rims that you don't need. And I will go through and clean this up, because some of these rims are stupid sizes that I would never use. 23 inch, I mean, I'm never going to put a 23 inch on a car, I don't think. Well, not anytime soon anyway. Okay, so that's my wheels and rims. I noticed I've got quality parts in there as well. And then I come to basically my blocks, heads and gearboxes. Again, these are the big ticket items, and it's really easy to go through these, and these are worth some decent money. 1100 for that one. We've got this one here, which is 940. So we're probably looking at, I don't know how many gearboxes are in here, but there's probably about, I don't know, maybe in total, it's probably about maybe 50-60 grand's worth of parts in here, probably more. And again, I keep them here. Some are special, some have just been repaired. Again, quality parts as well, if it's a quality part for either a cylinder head, gearbox, or engine block, and I would do a search in here to see if I've got the engine block that I need if I'm working on a specific car when I do a replacement. Because again, in most cases I've paid either no money for these or I've received them, certainly the quality ones, as a gift in a case. Last but not least, I have the engines. So when I've built an engine to 100%, and I sometimes do this, but again I'm going to go through a whole video of why I would build engines beforehand, because it's money that you're investing basically. I mean, if you take this rotary engine for example, I think it's out of a Mazda, I think the MX, is it the RX-7 I believe, it's worth $3,541. Of course they're expensive. I mean, you know, these engines are expensive to build, and you only realise the full value when you actually stick it in a car. Yeah, I mean, this one here is from I believe it's from a BMW, I think. I could be wrong. Someone's probably going to correct me in the comments. Ha, that's a laugh. Someone's going to correct me in the comments if I had any comments. But anyway, let's not talk about that right now. So again, and if I wanted to put these engines into any car, obviously it has to be specific and fit the car, I would add this back into here, and again that would appear in the group section. So when you go to groups here, obviously that would be groups up here, as in, you know, shock absorbers and wheels and tyres that are put together. So I've only got 4, but I do like to build the engines sometimes beforehand because it saves a lot of time. I know it's money that you're investing that sometimes you may not have, but it saves so much time, especially if you know you're doing maybe 2 cars at the same time or whatever. But so I will build up this inventory with engines. I think it just saves, like I said, so much more time. Anyway, that is pretty much it with the warehouses. It really is a great, in my opinion, a great piece of functionality within the game. It really allows you to reduce this whole, you know, long list of inventory items. Because what you do find, any of you that play this for any length of time, realise that when this starts to fill up with a lot of inventory items, it actually takes a little bit longer to load in. But yeah, there you go. That's, in my opinion, one of the best things, apart from the welder, that you actually get as you upgrade your garage. It is really helpful, and I love it. But then I like that, you know, managing all my little bits and pieces. Okay, so what have we done? I've given you a quick tour of the garage. I've showed you how to basically prep up a part for spraying if you want to match the colour of the original vehicle, but you don't want to have to spend $1,000 on you know, respraying the entire vehicle. I've gone through the welding real quick, not actually showing you the welding, but you know, at least what it's there for and what you can do with it. Battery charger is the same. We've been through spring compressor and the wheel changer before. So what I'm going to give you a little taste of right now is I have these 2 wonderful Lotus Esprits that have come in, and I'm going to give it a bit of a backstory. Okay, so these were found in a barn. One was actually found in a junkyard, and the owner of these vehicles has paid no money whatsoever for them, and he wants to do a full restoration on at least one of the vehicles. Okay, so it's my job as Jack, the intrepid and skilled and enthusiastic mechanic, to figure out which one is the best one to restore in the first instance, and if it's worth actually restoring the second one, or if it's worth just maybe doing a few bits and pieces to it and selling it on to make a profit. I have already done all the running gear, brakes and suspension, all fully fixed up. What I'm just going to give you a quick taster for the next video is this one is currently worth just over 11,000, and I kid you not, these S1 Lotuses, you pay no money. I know this is in a really banged up condition. I mean, look at it, 1% global body condition. It's completely foobar. But in saying that, I think I paid $4,000 for it. So it's a great starter's car for renovation if you can get one at a good price point. But in saying that good price point, it's still done 226,000 kilometers. So it's a high mileage vehicle. There's not a lot of money in these cars, but just as you're starting off, it's actually a good little project to see how the money works and all the rest of it. Like we did with that Crown Vic, which lost us money. This one, I guarantee, because it's such a low price point, we will make money on this vehicle. And because I've got 2, I can use one for donor parts if necessary. A lot of the parts are missing anyway, but when it comes to the engine, hopefully I'm going to repair some of the engine parts and use those on the other car. But which one to restore? Well, you'll have to wait and see when we come to the actual official Jack Came Back video for the Lotus Esprit S1 restoration. This one is worth 11,000. I think this one was a little bit more money. I think this was maybe 5,000, I think, maybe 4.5. Either way, let's say in total I'm into both of these cars for about 8.5 grand. And right now, with the repairs that have been done so far, they're sitting at 21. But I know there's money been spent on them. I'm not keeping a complete running total on them. To be fair, I've also been fixing some other parts and sold some parts, so the numbers don't quite tally. But I mean, you know what running gear costs. If I fix maybe 50-60% of the running gear parts, then I've probably spent about maybe 4 to 6 grand between the two cars. So you know, I'm still into profit, considering I'm only like 8.5 into it plus the 6, maybe 15 grand. I'm 5 grand in profit on these. I don't see me losing any money on these vehicles. I've done 2 of these before and I do like doing them, so I don't think we'll be running at a loss. Anyway, we've been way into the video. I've been talking a heck of a lot about what's going on and where we are, but just last thing, just to tease you a little bit more. You can see I've got loads of barns over here that I've been collecting with all the jobs I've been doing. So I have, here we go, I've got the Crown Victoria Taxi, which is going to be a project. I have a Porsche America 964. I actually have 2 of those. That's going to be, again, a double restoration on those 2. I've got a good old Volkswagen GTI Mark 1 in there, going to be great. This is a Crown Victoria Neighbour, which I'm hopefully going to work on both the Victoria, the Neighbour and the Taxi together, because actually this one's a supercharged engine. Land Rover Discovery, another Land Rover, a Nissan 180 SX Rocket Bunny Boss. I have no clue what that is. I haven't googled it, but that's going to be fun, I think. Oh, I've got another Victoria Neighbour here. And in Garage 2, I have a Land Rover pickup and 2 of these bad boys, 911s turbos, 964s. These are worth their weight in gold, and when I do the video on those, which will be in the next couple of days, you'll see how much money you can really make on these. But you'll also see why you want to buy 2 cars if possible, because these engines on these bad boys are extremely expensive to put together. Okay, anyway, that's that, and this is pretty much all I've got time for today. So, excuse me, and thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching. You know I appreciate it. See you soon. Jack's out.